Shoto todoroki. In love, heartbroken, lonely, and together again. Todoroki, the cold-hearted person we all know him to be, suddenly started opening up to a new person, somebody he never met before. That was so strange for him. Why was he feeling this way? The day that he met you, everything changed. He started opening up more, talking about everything that happened to him, his emotions, his experiences. First, he thought you were using some type of quirk, making him open up about things he usually doesn't speak about. But days passed on, and he realized you were opening up too. It wasn't just him, you weren't using some kind of quirk to make him do it. He just wanted to. That's how comfortable he felt with you. And he wasn't sure if that was a good or bad thing, but he enjoyed talking, so does it really matter? His friends, of course, saw the change too. It didn't go unnoticed. He started talking to them much more openly and with a smile. They seemed happy about it, but still confused. He changed so suddenly. They didn't expect it. Of course, soon they learned that it was because of you, and upon finding that out, they started to try and get to know you more. After all, you had such a positive impact on him, so surely you were a great person, right? As time went on, he noticed himself talking to you more, wishing for your touch, to be by your side and to just talk and relax with you. That wasn't always possible, of course, and he didn't like that. He wanted to be with you so badly. Soon, all he ever thought about was you, cuddling you, talking to you, texting you, hearing your voice. Everything revolved around you. After all, you were the new light of his life. His sister, of course, noticed a type of change too. She saw him spending more and more time on his phone or going outside with a friend, as he said. Surely she didn't believe that, did she? Of course she told her brother. We immediately started, let's say, teasing Shoto about spending so much time with a friend. Or well, a girl. But Shoto didn't understand what the big deal was. He was just hanging out with you and talking to you. So I was not so teasing him. He couldn't figure it out until, well, he came across Bakugo's manga, or well, romance novels. After reading a few of the stories, he finally realized what the big deal of you two hanging out was. Everyone thought you two were dating, or at least had feelings for each other, and they weren't wrong, but he wouldn't admit that so easily. Sure, he understood his feelings better, but he still wasn't sure if it was actually love or if it was just a deep feeling of friendship. He thought that maybe after a while things would calm down and everyone would stop talking about it, but boy was he wrong. One night after hanging out with you until late, he decided to take you home to meet his sister and brother. His dad wasn't home, and perhaps it was better that way. He wouldn't hear what Natsu had to say about your current relationship with him. The second you entered the house, Natsu was bombing you with questions. He wanted to know what type of person you are, what quirk you have, and what exactly you've been doing with Shoto. After all, Shoto was still his little brother who he needed to take care of, as good big brothers do, right? That night, you stayed over for dinner, meeting Fuyumi as well and talking to all three of the siblings. Of course, Natsu being Natsu, sometimes would ask awkward questions, but Fuyumi would always say something to make it better. When you were leaving, it was already really dark outside and Shoto wasn't sure if he would let you go. After all, there could be some danger. His sister, of course, saving the day, suggested that he would bring you home and then come back. For some reason, he felt happy she suggested that. After all, spending a little bit more time with you was never a bad thing. But why was it so important to him? He He still didn't understand completely, but I'm sure he will sometime. Once you came to your house, he knew it was time to leave, but for some reason, he still didn't want to. He wanted to spend more time with you and learn more about you. Whatever there was to learn, that is. After all, he surely knew a lot already. He didn't care though. He just wanted to stay close. He looked at you in the eyes, and as if reading his mind, you invited him in to stay. After all, you couldn't let him be outside at this time either. Once he was inside and comfortably sitting on the couch, he decided to call his sister to make sure she knew where he was. Both of you spent the night together, laughing, eating, and watching movies together, until you fell asleep. Of course, you didn't get to sleep too long. After all, you had school. Once you woke up, you realized in what position you were in. You were on the couch, cuddling together, like there was not a care in the world. You were the first one to wake up, soon followed by Shoto. He didn't mind the position you were in, but he knew he had to leave at some point, and that should be soon, as much as he hated that. Looking down at you laying in his arms like that finally made him realize what he's been feeling all along. He knew it wasn't friendship, that it was something more, but he never understood what. Seeing you so close to him after a night spent together made the words just slip out, I guess. "I love you," he said, without putting much thought into it. There wasn't anything to really think about. He knew how he felt. He just didn't know if it was real or not. He didn't want to waste your time with something that wasn't real, or was just temporarily. Not even a second went by and he finally realized what he said, making him wish that he hadn't said it. After all, it could ruin everything. You could hate him, you could tell him to get out, or tell him that you didn't feel the same. There were countless possibilities, but he looked down and he saw you smile. He knew that this was okay. He didn't do anything wrong. All of the fear he was feeling suddenly disappeared, like it was never even there. Is this really how strong of an effect you have on him? The next time you came over, Place gave you a warm welcome, just like they always do. But this time it felt different, and it felt like they were inviting you to their family, like you were going to be a part of it. It made you happy, but not too happy to make you miss out on the smile he had on his face. As he watched you talk to his siblings, it made you smile too. After all, seeing someone you love smile like that, such a genuine smile, made you happy. Weeks passed on, and you and your boyfriend's relationship had gotten stronger. You were spending almost every day of every week of every month with him. It wasn't much of the ordinary from what you both already knew, but it still felt special, like it was something completely new, and it made you both really happy. The word about you two dating had gotten around schools and the whole city almost. After all, this was the son we're talking about, right? News about him dating were sure to spread fast. People would sometimes ask weird or personal questions, but you didn't mind that much. After all, it wasn't that much trouble just to answer simple questions, and it didn't come in the way between you and your boyfriend. The two of you were happy in the relationship. Everything was going pretty well. Fights weren't a thing, unless one of you got hurt, of course. But it was never bad enough to cause a breakup or something. After all, you loved each other and you could overcome anything if you wanted to. Sometimes, though, it would be scary. After all, he was trained to be a hero and he made some enemies along the way, as every hero does. A lot of people were telling you to break it off, not because it wasn't working out, but because you two were living different lives. You could be in danger because he is a hero and neither of you wanted to risk anything like that. You wanted to convince him that you were strong enough to take care of yourself, but you knew he wouldn't listen. After all, he cared too much. You were trying to convince yourself that nothing bad would happen, but a lot of time passed and you had been targeted multiple times. How much more would you have to take? Just because you were in a relationship with him? You didn't want to break it off or call it quits, but it was getting painful. You knew that you had gotten hurt multiple times because he was a hero, and you knew that you would get targeted even more. Not only that, but you didn't want to get held hostage and hurt your boyfriend. After all, he meant the world to you. You knew that if you stayed together, the villains and everyone who hated him would have a weapon to use. They could just kidnap you and he would be forced to give up, surrender. You didn't want to be at fault when he loses. You didn't want people to blame you, nor did you want to see him hurt because of you. After a long discussion, you both called it quits. After all, it was way too dangerous for now. Maybe when you were older, things would get better. But for now, this was it. This was the end of your relationship. It hurt to let him go, of course, but what could you possibly do? Shoto knew he wouldn't be able to keep you by his side forever, especially with his occupation as a hero, but he didn't think it would end this fast. He didn't get to prepare himself. The pain was unbearable. The light from his life disappeared. What was he supposed to do? The people around him noticed his mood swings. One day he would be back to his cold self, and other days would be just depressed. There was nothing they could do about it, but they still tried to cheer him up. They knew it wouldn't do much, but it was better than just doing nothing and seeing him suffer like that. His sister started making him his favorite food to cheer him up every day, but he got tired of that too. After all he wanted to see was your smile. Not any more cold soba or anything like that. Just you. He wanted to hear your voice again, to be able to talk to you like he used to be. He wanted to come over to you and spend the night cuddling you on your couch. But he couldn't. It wasn't possible anymore. His brother stopped teasing him for a while. After all, he knew it was hard for his brother. But there was not much he could do about it. After all, you two were the ones who decided to call it quits. However, even though he didn't let on, noticed the change too. He noticed how his son was feeling down and he didn't know what to do about it. He heard about the recent breakup, but he didn't think it was that bad. You, of course, were going through a depressive phase as well, and your classmates noticed too. But they didn't know how to help you. After all, most of them didn't have a lot of experience with love or breaking up, so they didn't know what could help. A lot of them, but you ask them though, they read on the internet that it helps when you're feeling down. You appreciated the thought, but it didn't help that much. It just gave you a brain freeze, making you cry more. Anything you ever did reminded you of him. Sleeping on the couch, watching your favorite movies, anything you could think of, it was just related to him. You hated not being able to hold him, to laugh with him, and to not cuddle up against his arm. Rainy nights that he spent at your house. It was so painful knowing that he was somewhere else and you couldn't be close to him. But you would be able to get through this, right? You had to be strong, for both you and him. He didn't mean to. He didn't mean to bump into you while you were walking. He didn't mean to talk to you again. He didn't mean to bring you into danger either. But it still happened. You were walking down the street when suddenly a tall figure bumped into you. They apologized as you looked up, making you freeze up on the spot. It was him. It was the love of your life. The one person you had been wanting to see for so long, but weren't able to. Without a thought, you hugged on to him, wishing to never have to let go. With hesitation, he hugged you back, and it seemed like he was crying, but you didn't want to look up and embarrass him. Once you both got strong enough to stand on your own and separate, he invited you to a close-by ice cream shop. He wanted to spend some more time with you and forget about all of the things that happened. He just wanted to see you again and be able to talk to you like old times. He knew that it might be wrong and that you would just be repeating what happened last time, but did you care? Not really. You just wanted to be together again, to be able to hold each other's hand while walking down the street, to cuddle late at night while watching TV. It was all both of you could ever think about since a while, actually, since the breakup. But neither of you had admitted it to each other. You probably should have. Once you were both done with the ice cream, you realized you didn't want to separate ever again. He took you back to his house where nobody was at home, and you cuddled on his couch, of the TV, falling asleep, just a few minutes before his siblings got home. Once you woke up, you realized just how happy you were that you were together with him. To be able to wake up to his sleeping face in the morning and fall asleep with him as the last thing on your mind. It was a wonderful feeling, and you knew he felt the same. But there was still fear. After all, so much could happen just by you two being together. So Yumi woke you both up, saying that breakfast was ready and to get up, while Natsu was trying hard not to tease you both for falling asleep in each other's arms like that. Once you left, you both had a lot to think about. Did you really want this relationship to continue, even with all the possible danger? Did you really want that? Of course the answer was yes. You both wanted to be together, but maybe without that danger part. Was there really no way to live a happy life? Was it just not meant to be? Or was this the universe's way to telling you you should just stay away? You didn't want to hear any of that. You just wanted to be together with him, even if it felt impossible at the moment. There were thousands of thoughts going through your head as the doorbell suddenly rang. As you opened the door, you came face to face with the love of your life. But just standing there, a determined look on his face, as he smiled at you and asked if you could come in. You of course agreed, seeing no harm in him coming inside for a while, right? Once you both sat down, he started explaining just how much he missed you. He wanted to be by your side no matter what, and you felt the same. You agreed to keep your relationship secret this time, to not cause any more trouble for each other. But you'd still do all of the other stuff you did before. Maybe when you were older, you would be able to make your relationship public without fear. But we don't know what the future holds, do we? For now, let's just be happy how things turned out. Hello everyone, this is the creator of the video speaking like in the rest of the video. Anyways, this was requested by somebody in my last video's comment section and it took me a while to make it, but it was really fun to actually come up with all of these ideas. I tried to make it as in character as possible for him, but I guess it did slip up sometimes. If you have any more requests for what videos I should do, please let me know. I'm not sure how fast I will keep making those since I'm trying to increase the length of the video, but there's also school going on, so I'll just try my best to do everything that I have to do. I'll also trying to make sure that you guys find these videos enjoyable. So if there's anything you want me to change, or if you have any suggestions for how to make the video better or future videos, please let me know. Bye!